Hey everybody, thanks for checking out our video today. Welcome back to part 2 of our video series as we're looking at insurance benefits with our friends at Marsh Agency. I am joined today by Murphy Holderness. Murphy, thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Great, and as always, I'm Josh Robbins with Amplify, looking to bring you guys all the content you need to help your businesses continue to grow and survive during these crazy uncertain times that we're living in, Murphy. So, last time we talked a little bit about employee benefits and insurance on that side with you guys, and now we want to shift to talking a little bit about commercial insurance and what you do. But let's back up for just a second and remind everybody who Marsh McLennan is and what you guys do.
Yeah, happy to, and thank you again for having me today. So I work for Marsh McLennan Agency. We are a fully owned subsidiary of Marsh, who's the largest insurance brokerage in the world. And we work with a lot of mutual clients helping out on both employee benefits as well as commercial insurance programs. And so we have local offices on the ground across the country and available to assist as needed.
Excellent. Tons of resources, which we learned last time in our last video as well. So you live in the world of commercial insurance, right? And helping companies secure that stuff. And, obviously, COVID-19 has dramatically impacted businesses and our way of life and everything that's going on. But, from insurance policies for businesses, what are you seeing? What's been the impact? What should companies be focused on, cared about right now? What's going on in the world?
Yeah, and so, obviously we work with numerous organizations that vary in their day-to-day tasks and operations. And so everybody's situation is going to be unique, but there are certain things that every business and organization should be doing. We tell our clients, first off, to be documenting everything. Legislation is changing daily with regard to business interruption claims and lost revenue. You want to be tracking all of that instead of having to go retroactively taking notes. In the event that the legislation does change or the rules change and people say, hey, we're going to cover this as business income losses for lost revenue now, we want to have that information ready to go so we can file it day one. Also on the lines of documentation, we want to make sure that we're documenting procedures we're doing going forward so that in the event someone claims negligence, we can say, no, we had documented safety plans. We were doing X, Y, and Z. We monitored our payroll changes, the classifications change for your workers' compensation audit. Our payroll figure went down in May and June because we didn't have employees in. Well, let's make sure we capitalize on those cost savings when it comes to audit time. So first and foremost, just document everything. And then, even if we can't file a claim going forward, at least we have that information on file for projecting out future pandemics so we can plan from a business perspective going forward.
So, you talked about, documenting everything, making sure we're covered. We got everything in line. You touched a little bit in there about costs as we're looking at some stuff. Yeah. So, obviously COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the economy, on businesses and what they're doing. How does that translate into commercial insurance, and what can companies expect in terms of their costs and expenses going forward?
Yeah, so it's a really challenging time right now. Even pre-COVID, we were going into a hardening market where a lot of companies were seeing increased insurance rates anyway. Understanding that cash flow can be tight, a number of the carriers are providing billing relief where all you have to do is ask and they'll extend your bills out for a couple months until you hopefully get your cash flow going again. On top of that, a number of the carriers are also providing decreases automatically on the policies, given that your autos aren't out on the roads because your business has been shut down for 2 months. A number of our regional carriers have automatically applied a 15% credit to the auto policies. So you want to check with your current carrier, make sure you're capitalizing on any savings that are available at the moment. The third item I would recommend that you look at is workers' compensation. We touched on it a minute ago, but their class codes based on the work you're doing. Well, obviously coming into the office or going into the machine shop, that's a much more hazardous class code than if you're working from home. Typically, if you're working from home, you're doing it for a day or two, so you don't change the class code. But if people have been home for 3 or 4 months, if you were to change that class code from a high manufacturing rate to a very low work at home rate, there's significant cost dollars that can be had there. And so that ties back into the documentation component. Really want to make sure we're doing that so that when audit time comes up, your insurance agent can make that argument for you to get those cost savings.
So, you touched on something there at the beginning when you're talking that it was really important, and it's a point that we've been making a lot here at Amplify as we've done some of these videos for everybody, and that's on the communication piece with your carriers, with your vendors of all kinds, both good and bad, as things are starting to, as we're struggling, going to our partners and our insurance partners and the carriers, having those conversations with them, letting them know where we're at, so we have that partnership where we're all working together to be successful. And so I thought, and on the good things as well, when you have decreases, making sure that we're talking to them about what can we take advantage of, what are some possible savings that are out there, and what we're looking at, which we think is a fantastic point, and I really want to emphasize that. You touched on just a second, a little bit about employees going back to work and what are we going to do? And I know a lot of this stuff on the commercial insurance side covers a lot of that, and we talked about workers' comp, but as employees come back, are there other things that businesses need to be on the lookout for and need to be worried about or thinking about in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as your risk manager, there's two components we focus on. One is, making sure that we have the coverages in place in the event things do go wrong to protect your organization. But then on the front end, we want to help you prevent from even having to use our policies that we put in place. So one of them is, as employees are going back to the workplace, there are a number of precautions that should and essentially need to be taken to ensure everybody's safety. We have a number of resources which Josh will publish a link to later, but they regard with in testing, documentation in terms of signing in and out, what to advise your employees with regards to if they're not feeling well coming in, face mask protocols, really practicing as much social distancing, which you hear about in the news every day, but just cleanliness and taking care of everybody to create that safe working environment.
Yeah, and I think, when you talk about this stuff, you can never be too careful, right? We want to be able to function. We want people to be able to work and enjoy themselves and take pride in what they're doing. But we want everybody to be safe. And we want everybody to be safe so that they can, obviously so people stay healthy. But also from a business standpoint, when you're not practicing those policies, it could significantly impact your costs going forward, and so it's very prudent that we take these steps to make sure that we are operating safely as we go forward.
Exactly. Yeah. If you start seeing an uptick in claims from people getting sick at work, that's going to impact your financials down the road as your experience mod would go up from higher claim activity potentially. So that's definitely worth an investment up front. One, just in the good faith of your employees to keep everybody safe, but two, we do want to watch that bottom line going forward.
Absolutely. So speaking of going forward, as we're moving down the line, as we continue through this COVID-19 world that we're in, everybody, there's some traditional insurances that businesses use and need, but this is impacting our world and changing it. It's changing the way we live, the way we work. So what are some of the emerging trends that you guys are seeing on the commercial insurance side, and what are some potential new things that businesses haven't focused on in the past that maybe today would be prudent for them to take a look at?
Yeah, everybody, most businesses are focused on their property, workers' compensation, general liability, as well they should be. But we're finding a lot of times those ancillary lines are sometimes overlooked. The cyber coverage, which is critical today with employees working from home and remote. There are so many more data points and access points to get into your company's network that you really need to make sure, one, you've got the firewalls in place up front, but two, you've got a robust cyber product that would respond in the event there's a breach because someone got on your employee's network when he was at home and they backwalled into you. The other one we're seeing a large uptick in claims would be on employment practices liability. And so that's your wrongful hiring, firing, discrimination. And so the concern there is if you let employee A work from home and you don't let employee B work from home, that could be deemed as discrimination potentially. So, really want to button up all those practices and policies, but at the same time, make sure that if we do have a lawsuit, whether it be frivolous or not, that we have protection there so that it, again, doesn't impact the bottom line.
Yeah, excellent. So you mentioned just a minute ago about some tools and some resources, and I know in our last video we talked about Marsh has a tool to check out measure the financial impact on the benefits on the health insurance side. You were mentioning to me earlier about a resource page that you guys have on your website, which we are going to link in the description down below. Tell us a little bit about what you can find on that page and what's there.
Yeah, one of the great things about working for Marsh is we have such a talented team of individuals behind us, and we have a COVID-19 resource page where you can click and view industry-specific data and resources And then, with the world of commercial insurance, there's 100 different avenues you could go down. So you can learn more about workers' compensation if you want, or learn more about cyber and the unique exposures that COVID-19 brings to the table. And what's great about the website is we update it weekly. And so as these legislation changes and bills go in front of Congress, we keep that up to date so that you're on the forefront of what you need to be doing.
Awesome. Murphy, thank you so much for the information. Yeah. Appreciate you being here. As always, very proud to be partnered with Marsh McLennan Agency. We're going to have all those links and how to get in touch with Murphy and check out the website as well. It's going to be in the description. If you need more information, you can always reach out to us at the email at the bottom of the screen there, connect@amplifygrowth.com. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the channel so you can stay up to date on all the latest information coming out. Murphy, thanks again.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody. We appreciate you checking us out today.
Safe.